Title: Why You Don't Need to Be Liked to Lead. Part 1: The Hexagon. Strength before approval. Everyone wants to be respected. But most people spend their entire lives chasing it from the wrong crowd. They think leadership means being admired, when it actually means being consistent. If you need everyone to like you, you'll never lead them, you'll follow their moods. Approval is a quiet addiction. It feels harmless, but it trains you to trade your clarity for comfort. Every time you hold back a truth so you don't make waves, you lose a little bit of your own voice. Every time you change direction to please someone, you build habits of hesitation. Eventually you're so focused on keeping peace that you forget what your purpose was. The hexagon represents form, strong lines, solid shape, no wasted motion. Form gives power direction. Without it, energy leaks. That's why people with potential stay stuck. They're powerful but shapeless, bending to every opinion. You can't build strength on public approval. The crowd loves you on Monday and forgets you by Friday. Build your foundation on something that doesn't move. Your word, your work, your values. That's the kind of structure that doesn't need applause to stay standing. Power built on validation dies fast. But power built on discipline doesn't even notice when no one's watching. You'll feel the shift when you stop needing permission to act. At first it'll feel cold, even lonely. But that's the beginning of clarity. The noise fades, and what's left is signal. Real influence doesn't come from being liked, it comes from being trusted. And people only trust what doesn't change with the wind. Leaders make hard calls knowing someone will be upset. They're willing to carry that weight because they've learned that peace bought with dishonesty isn't peace, it's delay. Avoiding confrontation today only creates chaos tomorrow. So they speak truth, even when it shakes the room. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. Arrogance demands control over others. Alignment demands control over yourself. When you're aligned, you don't have to shout to be heard. Your consistency speaks louder than your tone. The hexagon's first lesson is restraint. Just because you can defend yourself doesn't mean you should. Just because you can explain your choices doesn't mean you owe anyone a reason. Power doesn't chase misunderstanding, it endures it. People respect strength they don't always like. Think about the mentors, coaches, or leaders who changed you. They probably annoyed you before they inspired you. They told you what you didn't want to hear. They held standards when you wanted sympathy. That's real leadership, choosing clarity over comfort. The higher you climb, the lonelier it feels. That's natural. Elevation thins the air. Only those built for it can breathe there. Most stay below because attention feels safer than altitude. But attention is cheap oxygen, it fades fast. Purpose is the only air that lasts. You'll know you're maturing when silence feels better than being understood. When you stop explaining your intentions to people who are committed to misreading them. When your peace becomes more valuable than their approval. Approval is external currency. Integrity is internal wealth. You can spend approval, but it never compounds. Integrity compounds daily. Every decision, every boundary, every honest word adds to it. That's how quiet people start carrying loud influence. Their energy says, I don't move unless it matters. Stop trying to be relatable. Be reliable. Relatable gets attention. Reliable builds legacy. One fades, the other repeats. Leadership doesn't require a crowd. Sometimes it's just you, staying consistent when no one else does. That's how you earn real respect, not through charm, but through character. The hexagon reminds you. Form before feeling. Order before outcome. Purpose before popularity. If you build your life on applause, you'll live for echoes. If you build it on principle, you'll leave structure standing after the noise dies. So stop asking for permission to be certain. Stop softening your words so people stay comfortable. Stop apologizing for boundaries that protect your focus. Strength is only intimidating to those still pretending they have it. You don't need to be liked to lead. You need to be clear. Because clarity outlasts charm. Charm fades when things get hard. Clarity keeps direction when everything shakes. That's the hexagon. Structure over emotion, truth over approval, strength before acceptance. When your form is solid, the world adjusts around you. Part 2. The triangle. Power without permission. Power is never given, it's taken through consistency. Not taken from others, but taken from the parts of yourself that used to hesitate. The triangle is drive, the controlled fire that pushes form into force. Without it, all the structure you built stays still. Drive moves it forward, but only if you stop waiting for someone to approve it first. Waiting kills momentum. You tell yourself you're being polite, strategic, humble, but really you're scared. Scared of being judged, of failing, of being seen as too much. The truth is, anyone doing something real will always be too much for someone doing nothing. That's why the triangle burns. It teaches you to move through that noise, to trust your pace even when others doubt it. You can't lead if you're always asking, "Is this okay?" You move, and people adjust. You stop, and you teach them hesitation. Influence isn't about control, it's about direction. You create movement by being the first to step. Courage is contagious. When people see you move with conviction, they remember their own. That's leadership without permission. But this kind of fire must stay clean. Power without purpose corrupts fast. The second you start using it to feed ego instead of mission, it collapses. That's why discipline still leads the flame. You burn to build, not to brag. Some will call you selfish for protecting your focus. They'll call you cold for refusing distractions. But power has a price, solitude. You'll outgrow conversations that don't feed your goals. You'll feel misunderstood by those still chasing attention. Let them. You're not here to convince, you're here to construct. In the early stages, your fire will feel lonely. No one claps when you're sharpening blades in the dark. No one sees the hours you spend working when they're asleep. That's fine. Power grows in silence. Noise only announces it later. The triangle's law is motion with aim. You don't swing at everything, you choose targets carefully. One precise strike moves more than 100 random blows. Learn to say no quickly. Your time is fuel, spend it like it matters. When obstacles appear, don't freeze. Pressure is the forge, the place where raw drive becomes refined direction. You don't get stronger by escaping fire. You get stronger by breathing inside it. When everything feels like it's collapsing, that's not the end. That's the weight testing your structure. Hold steady. Keep moving forward even when you can't see results yet. The fire will clear the fog if you keep walking. Power is rhythm. Too fast you burn out. Too slow you fade out. Find the middle, consistent heat, constant motion. People will misunderstand this phase. They'll call your calm arrogance your focus obsession. That's okay. The louder they talk, the more they reveal how rarely they act. Real power is quiet until it has something to say. And when it does, everyone listens. Not because you forced them, because your results made them. That's power without permission. No begging. No proving. Just doing. That's the triangle. Drive with direction, confidence without noise. You don't need their permission to move. You just need to start walking. Part 3. The circle. Presence without noise. When you've built structure and learned to move without permission, you enter the quiet phase, presence. It's the point where you don't have to prove power anymore. You just are. The circle represents flow, energy that no longer needs to fight to be felt. You've already earned your respect through consistency and through fire. Now your job is to maintain it without letting ego rot it from the inside. The mistake most people make when they get power is they start chasing noise again. They forget that real influence doesn't need to announce itself. Loud power burns fast. Quiet power lasts decades. Presence is felt before it's heard. You walk into a room and people adjust their tone without knowing why. They can sense control, not dominance, but balance. It's not what you say, it's what you've mastered in silence. That silence didn't come from peace, it came from practice. It came from years of being doubted and still showing up. From being underestimated and still delivering. From learning that you don't need to win arguments when you can prove truth through outcome. The circle teaches that leadership is maintenance. Anyone can rise once. The rare ones rise, fall, and rise again, calmer, sharper, smarter. That's the strength that doesn't shake when things turn quiet. Because quiet is where the real work begins. The goal is no longer attention, it's precision. You stop moving to impress, and you start moving to sustain. Every word matters. Every move counts. Every silence communicates something. Presence isn't performance. It's control that's become instinct. You don't need to manage every detail because your habits already do it for you. You've trained yourself to move in line with your standards. Not emotion, not expectation, just intent. This is the phase where you stop chasing people and start attracting them. You don't demand loyalty. You embody consistency. People trust what stays steady. When everything else is unstable, stability becomes magnetic. That's why power feels peaceful when it's mature. It doesn't push, it pulls. It doesn't shout, it shapes. Presence is when your confidence stops needing validation and starts creating gravity. The kind of gravity that pulls respect quietly. No campaign, no begging, no proving. Just wait. But with power comes the shadow, the temptation to start thinking you're above the lessons that built you. That's when ego sneaks back and dressed as confidence. The circle reminds you, humility keeps power clean. You don't stay calm because you're untouchable. You stay calm because you remember what it felt like to be touched by chaos and survive it. Stay human. Stay grounded. Remember that leadership isn't about being followed, it's about being useful. Influence fades when it stops serving something larger than itself. So move like this. Speak less. Do more. Stay consistent. Let presence do what words used to. When people talk about you, let it be about how you made things work, not how loud you were while doing it. That's legacy, quiet power that outlives attention. The circle closes the triangle of mastery. Structure gave you strength. Fire gave you courage. Flow gave you clarity. Together they make presence. You no longer need to be liked, noticed, or validated. You've become what you used to chase. That's leadership. Calm, grounded, undeniable. Presence without noise. Influence without begging. Power that doesn't need permission to exist.